What is going on, everybody? It's finally that time. We're going to go ahead and review the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. I ended up seeing it last night and actually ended up watching it today. There's actually some good free qualities of the movie online. Um, I'm not going to tell you where to go, but if you can find it if you look. It's definitely out there. But I would definitely, if you can see it in theaters, try to. I know it's expensive, movies these days, but visually it's definitely worth seeing in theaters. But you can pretty much get a lot out of it from watching the um, copies that are online. So what we're going to do is I'm not going to go through scene by scene, but I'm pretty much going to go through the movie as things happened in order, and then kind of give my thoughts about it at the end. And then, of course, we'll talk about things while I'm going through it that I did like, didn't like, because we're going to be subjective here. I mean, definitely enjoyed the movie, would go see it again, thought it was great, amazing. But there were things that I didn't like. There were some things that were hit or miss. But man, the things they hit on was was great. The movie was really good. So I would definitely say go see it. It was amazing. If I had to rate it like a scale of 1 out of 10, well, let me give my initial rating, and then once we talk about it, I'll think about it again. But just off the top of my head, out of a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it a solid 8.5. I think that that's a good. You could say 8.5, 9 if you're fanboying. Sure, 8.5 to 9, anywhere in there, I say it was good. Yeah, I think 8.5 is a good rating here. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, check back at the end of the video where I'll kind of like summarize it up without spoiling it. But we're gonna go through scene by scene starting now, so you've been warned. I'll give you like 10 seconds to remove yourselves or mute or anything like that. So what I have here is my notes. So if you guys think I'm looking down at my phone, I am. I took a bunch of notes while I was watching the movie. I don't know if you guys can see that. Just all about the movie, certain scenes, certain lines that were spoken and said, certain fights and action scenes. So we're going to end up going through all that. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do the reaction same night as I saw the movie. So we start off the movie pretty much. Oh, this is where the spoilers are happening. So if you don't want to be here, see ya. We start out the movie with Frieza's dad, King Cold, pretty much not, I guess you can say, invading Planet Vegeta. But he just shows up with his whole army. Um, and by this time, the Saiyans are already, under his control, working for him. They already have that tension building up. And he stops by and says, "Hey, I'm done being king anymore. This is my son, Frieza. He's gonna rule. And just to let you guys know, he's a bigger dick than I am." Frieza comes out, um, and we get introduced to the Scouters. It's over 9,000 shit. He just gives the Saiyans a bunch of Scouters, saying you can search people's power levels with this. It'll show you where people are. And so he puts one on, and he's like, "Oh, I see you guys have all these lasers and guns on me real quick." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" He has a scouter on, so he can tell where people are in the buildings. Pulls out his death ray, snipes out like 5 or 6 people. I was like, "Oh man, he's about to start massacring the planet." But he killed like 5 or 6 people, gave them like 200 scouters, and he dipped. Um, so when that happened, King Vegeta was all pissed. So he wanted to go see how. I didn't get the understanding of the kids in the pods. So he goes and checks on Vegeta, who he has in a pod, like we saw in the trailers. Maybe I need to go back and watch it again. I don't know if they put them in there to like preserve their bodies and make them a little bit stronger, because it looks like they've already been born. They're not born in the tubes, so are they giving birth to these kids and then putting them directly in the tubes until they're at like a decent enough age to come out? I'm not sure. He goes and checks on Vegeta. Vegeta's like gotta be 3, 4, or 5 years old, just hanging out in the tube. And these doctors come up and say, "We have somebody over." He's like, "What's this kid doing over here?" They're like, "He's not of royal blood. He's not a high rank Saiyan. Why is he up here?" Um, and it's Broly. And they explain to him every test they've run, countless tests, and scanners have his potential to be off the charts. They can't measure it. So he puts on the scouter that Frieza just gave him, and they put on the scouter, and it can't read his power. It can't read Kid Broly's power level, which was pretty crazy to see. Um, and out of two reasons, which ends up making sense later in the movie. But at the beginning, you're like, oh, he's just scared. King Vegeta wants Broly off the planet. He doesn't want him being a threat to Prince Vegeta when he becomes king and he rules. And he also made a statement that he thinks that much power or that much hidden potential could be too much for anybody to control, and they don't even think Broly himself can control it. So they send Broly off to die to planet Vampa. I think they said it pretty much. If you know what Venus looks like, it's all yellow and smoky and sulfuric acid. They've got these monsters out there. They have no food, no water, no nothing. It's pretty much just a planet full of these big monsters and these like acid cesspools. And um his father Paragus learns that um Broly's been kind of exiled, so he goes in not to save him. Well, he does go to save him, but in the process of going to save him, he ends up finding Broly. They find the planet, they find him, but the ship that he took to get there is so damaged that when he finally reaches Broly, they can't leave the planet. Um, they can't call for help because if they call for help, King Vegeta or whoever is going to know that you've been exiled. We're not here to pick you up. Oh, we know where they are. Let's just go kill them right now. So that he can't call for help. They only have food that's going to last for like 5 days. He ends up killing the guy that took him there just so they can have longer rations of food. Um, by the time we get there, Broly's already like killing animals and like stuffing his face with like their blood and their juices, and the kid's like 5, 6 years old. So it's pretty much a crazy sight to see. Um, and from that day, Broly's dad, Paragus, he says he vows to get revenge on King Vegeta, whatever form that revenge is. So we've already painted this background story. So we've completely wiped the old background story that we knew of Vegeta, of Goku and Broly being in pods next to each other, Goku crying and crying and crying, and that basically being Broly's trigger for every movie that we've known before this. They completely wiped that. Their Broly and Goku aren't even next to each. I don't think they've ever even been in the same room, even in pods together at any time of them growing up. So they have no recollection of each other. He's not triggered by the name Goku or Kakarot, anything, which I applaud them on doing. I'm glad they wiped it. I hated that so much. I know there's people that kind of love that and they love the old Broly movies. I know people that like the old Broly movies better than this, but I applaud Toriyama and all them for just completely wiping that storyline clean. So that's pretty much off the table. And I was glad to see that they did that. Paragus makes the statement that anytime Broly would stare at the moon, or none of them can stare at the moon or they'll turn into the ape and they won't be able to control it, which makes for a good plot point later in the story. And when that was going on in the film, I was thinking, how are they going to survive and get off this planet? But they never do. They just stay there. That's where Broly grows up. That's pretty much where the story happens. We fast forward a little bit, and the Saiyans are working for Frieza. They're part of the Frieza army. Frieza sends out this transmission ordering all Saiyans to return to planet Vegeta. Every single Saiyan. Um, as soon as that was brought up in the movie, I'm like, he's going to kill them all on the planet. And that's exactly what ends up happening. But the Saiyans have no idea what's happening. So we get to see Bardock, Goku's dad, in this. And as he's being called back to Planet Vegeta, he keeps making the comments of like, why would he call us back? He doesn't need us here. This doesn't seem right. This seems fishy. I think he's afraid of us or wants to try to kill us. He doesn't need us anymore. And everyone else is like, no, 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 there's got to be some other reason, whatever, whatever. And then we find out, I don't know what comment they made about it. They didn't say he had like a dream or something, but I guess he was getting afraid of like how many Saiyans there were and what was happening, and he just didn't want to take the chance of there being a legendary Super Saiyan. So right before he blows up the planet, Bardock, Goku's mom, they take Goku's pod put him in a little transporter, program it for Earth, and shoot him off the planet. And right after they shoot him off the planet, Goku gets sent to Earth, and Frieza does his, death beam finger, launches it at the planet. And it looks like there was a time skip in the moment of him like charging up the beam, because then we get right before the planet blows up, they go back to Bardock, and his suit is just ripped and destroyed. And I was hoping we were going to get to see this. And now that I'm at this point, let me bring this up. I heard that the movie was originally supposed to be like 2.5 to 3 hours long. That's the script they got. They wrote it, they shot it, and they made a 3 hour long movie. And then the studio had to cut it down to an hour and a half. I was actually really surprised how short the movie was. But supposedly this was supposed to be in the movie. We were supposed to see kind of Bardock rally the troops and be like, hey, Frieza's trying to kill us up here. That's why he orders all here. They all go like fly into space, or the Frieza army comes down and they start battling it out. They're pretty much trying to kill Frieza before he blows up the planet. We don't see any of that. All we see is the Saiyans come to the planet. Bardock sends Goku off the planet. Frieza charges up a beam, throws it at the planet, hits the ground, planet explodes. But right before the death ball hits the ground, they zoom in on Bardock, and he's just completely, you know how they are, like armor's cracked, nothing left. He's got the scratches all over him. And as this huge, we're talking like Spirit Bomb times 10 size, Bardock, it really like hit me in the feels. I was hoping that like all the Saiyans that were left were gonna like stand in a line next to Bardock and all shoot off and we are gonna have a beam struggle, but we didn't get that. Just Bardock did it. This huge death orb is coming down to the planet, and Bardock is standing in front of it by himself, and I'm not gonna call it a Kamehameha wave, but he charged it from the side and shot it like he was trying to beam struggle with it. But yeah, I mean, you knew he wasn't going to be able to do anything. He wasn't going to unlock a Saiyan ability and start pushing this back. This was before we even knew what Super Saiyan was. And he's pushing as hard as he can, and the death ball just comes closer and closer. Evaporate kills him, hits the planet, planet explodes. And it was pretty, that was kind of like gut wrenching there when it happened. I wrote down, it was sad seeing Bardock hit that blast alone. I wanted them all to kind of band together for a beam struggle, but it didn't happen. And then we also hear right before the planet blows up that Vegeta and Raditz are on a mission off the planet. They were also signaled to come back. And then we fast forward right after the planet's blown up. We fast forward to, not fast forward, we jump to another planet. I would say Vegeta and Raditz are like 12, maybe 10 years old. And they have Nappa there. He's a grown-ass man. And Vegeta made the comment, they're like, hey, your planet Vegeta's just been blown up. It's not there anymore. And Vegeta's like, good thing we didn't go back home. And he's just like, that's all he says about it. Doesn't talk about his dad, doesn't talk about like the Prince Saiyan heritage. He's just like, I'm glad we disobeyed those orders. As they're sitting there like killing animals and eating, and Nappa is kind of like shocked about it because he's a grown-ass man. I mean, he's got feelings and ties to it. And Nappa's like, Raditz, didn't you have a brother there? And Raditz is like, I don't know. We weren't that close. We never talked. He was weak. He's a low-level Saiyan. It doesn't matter. And I thought we were going to maybe see them kind of like growing up, and as it went, and right after that scene, time jump, boom, into present. So I was wishing we got something there in the middle. But right after he blows up the planet, we cut to like 12-year-old Vegeta and Raditz hanging out, killing things and eating. All of a sudden we get like a 700-year or whatever they did, I don't know, 200-year time skip. And we're back on Earth, and Goku and Vegeta are doing their sparring thing. Bulma and Whis and Beerus are napping, hanging out, eating on her giant yacht off the shore. And they're just getting their training. And like always, I don't know what the time period is between the Tournament of Power and this. I don't know if we're like 6 months. I think they brought it up, but I honestly can't remember. I don't know if we're 6 months removed, a year removed, but I don't think it was too long. But Frieza ends up stealing the Dragon Balls. Bulma has them at Capsule Corp or wherever she has. She has 6 of them. So he gets his little henchmen to go steal the 6, and they're looking for the other one. So Bulma finds out. We get like a telephone call from Kid Trunks, Kid Gohan, Go 10, Kid Go 10. and Trunks. They're like, hey, someone broke in, stole your Dragon Balls. Okay, bye. And that's all we see them in the movie. We see Kid Trunks go 10 for 45 seconds. They're off screen. We never see them again the rest of the movie, which was unfortunate. But I guess it's not about their story, so I guess it's okay. We finally get a location of where the last Dragon Ball is, and it's located where we saw everything in the trailers. You know, they're fighting on this ice continent. We see Goku and Vegeta in those jackets that are in the trailers that everyone was talking about looked so clean. That's where the last Dragon Ball ends up being, so that's why they're all kind of dressed like that. Um, so they hop in like one of the little capsule corp, you know, half helicopter, half torpedo things. Beerus decides not to go. He says, I'm just gonna sit here and nap. Whis goes, and I'm thinking to myself, couldn't Whis have gotten them there like that? Something with that staff or a cube, or he could have gotten them from point A to point B in 5 seconds. Instead, they hop on the airplane. Whis hops on the airplane with them, and they fly there. That kind of like, I was like, what? Why didn't we just like instant over there? I don't know. Um, but they decided to. That's what they decided to do. I still don't know if this is true or not. We end up finding what Frieza's wish is. I thought it was going to be because his henchmen were like, "Hey, what are you going to wish for? Are you going to wish to be immortal? Are you going to wish to go back in time? Are you going to wish for this?" And he's like, "No, I want to." He says, "I want to be 5 centimeters taller." That was his wish. I don't know if that was supposed to be like a gag. Um, Maybe that was just a front, so he didn't want to scare his army, thinking like he's gonna wish for world domination or whatever. But he's like, no, I want to collect the Dragon Balls and wish to be 5 centimeters taller. He doesn't say inches. He doesn't say feet. He says 5 centimeters taller, and that's all we're brought to our attention of his wish. We never find out if that was true or not the rest of the movie because he doesn't end up making the wish. So while he's going to get that last Dragon Ball, there's two scouters going out for his army. That green girl that we see in the trailer that kept screaming like, "Oh, you think Broly wants to fight like this? He's not. This isn't his will or whatever." Her and this older Frieza army guy, they're out scouting for people to add to the Frieza army. And this actually blew my mind because in the trailer, I'm trying to piece together. I'm like, we see Frieza fighting Broly, we see everybody fighting Broly. Did his dad and Broly get off that planet and make like a little makeshift army gang and come to Earth plotting their revenge? I'm like, how did they get off that planet to here? Frieza's army recruiters actually go and find them on this planet because Paragus ends up, I don't know why he decided to do it now. Supposedly he sent out a signal for help. Um, and they were able to find them on that planet Vampa, pick them up, and took them to Frieza's, master ship that's like the size of the biggest donut you've ever seen. um, and Broly is officially working in Frieza's army, which actually blew my mind. So when we got to the planet, I was thinking they've been on that planet all this time. No other human interaction, no nothing. Broly's got the collar on and the shock. I'm thinking, did he always have that collar on? I couldn't remember what he looked like earlier in the movie. It actually blew my mind. Um, they inform Pragus that, hey, you guys are like the last of the Saiyans that are left. There's no more planet there. It's been blown up. Um, Broly has had no human interaction this whole time besides him and his dad. um, and that's pretty much all we're led to believe. And he gets introduced to Frieza. Frieza can already sense that he can't sense how much power he has. Like he's like, oh, this is some unlimited power right here. I need somebody on my team, so you'll do good. And the way he keeps Broly's dad in play is saying, oh, Prince Vegeta? I know where he is. You want to go get revenge? So that's how he kind of strings his dad along, who's in control of Broly at this time. um, I really, really, really wanted to see um, Whis versus Broly or Beerus versus Broly, but we never end up getting that in the movie, sadly. We see it's not even them sparring. We see Broly like go to attack Whis Like he throws a punch, Whis does his like twirls and spins, like, oh, you almost got me. Broly goes again. He twists and spins. He's like, oh, you're getting closer, and that's it. That's it. The fight's interrupted. That's not even a fight. The two dodges that Whis does are interrupted, and we never see them spar or anything. I thought in the trailers maybe Whis was kind of training up Broly to kind of like control it or calm him back down. No, no, no. We didn't get any of that. As they're getting closer to approaching Earth, with Frieza and Broly now on the same team, we see Broly having like PTSD, like twitches, like something's going on. Um, Paragus bust out the shock collar. I thought it was just gonna be like a little zap, and it like maybe puts him to sleep, or he like feels it and he like stops. This thing was like a stun gun times 10. The little buzzer that he had around it, little shock collar. It looks like Goku when he got engulfed by his own spirit bomb. Like it was serious, serious. So the people that ended up rescuing Broly from that planet felt bad, like, oh, he doesn't want to fight. This isn't him. So they steal the remote controller and break it. Um, so you already know at this point Broly's off the leash. So when he fights again, there's no way to like bring him back down or calm him back down. Frieza, Broly, Paragus arrive on this little ice continent at the same time. Goku, Vegeta, Whis, Bulma arrive. Um, Broly steps off. They look like they're like, oh, he looks like a Saiyan, but they straight up acknowledge they've never seen him before. So I like that. We didn't get any, they didn't mess with our minds thinking of like, hey, Vegeta, do we know that guy or have we seen him before? Or, oh man, they completely acknowledge like they have no idea who he is. So none of the old movies are playing into this at all, which is something I really applaud. That was great. Um, and Paragus is like, that's our revenge. Let's get it. Let's go, Broly. He commands him to go, and round one is Vegeta versus Broly, and it's pretty great. Um, I'm trying to think, is there anything? Yeah, that was another thing. So when they got there, I'm kind of thinking to myself, why are we not keeping tabs on Frieza this entire time? Goku and Vegeta are out here sparring. Goku brought him back to life. I feel like it's his responsibility to keep tabs on this man. I don't know if they felt like because he helped defeat Jiren that he can just go out there and create his own army and do all these things and no one's going to like check this man or do anything, but he's out there collecting an army, taking over again, and they're just all letting it happen. Like you knew he was going to come to Earth and kind of exact revenge at some point, which kind of blew my mind. I want to know why Broly just off the bat attacked so hard because he had no. I don't know if Paragus was like messing with his mind on the planet. Like, if you ever see a Saiyan, attack him. And maybe Broly like didn't understand it as a kid. And maybe if Broly said no or why, he would zap him. So I don't know what made Broly so triggered as soon as he saw Vegeta to like go. Other than maybe it was some childhood stuff that was brought up. Um, this is the actual first time that Broly has fought a real person. He's only been fighting like beasts and creatures on this planet, and it's showing when he's fighting Vegeta because like just in straight up like martial arts hand to hand skill, Broly can't keep up. I mean, he can dodge, he can move and stuff, but as far as like throwing hands and sparring with someone that's actually throwing hands back, he just like really can't keep up. So at this point, he's only keeping up with just pure ability as far as like the potential he has. They're sparring in base form. Um, Vegeta goes Super Saiyan, and they put so much detail into him transforming Super Saiyan. It looks amazing. Um, I know, kind of like during the Tournament of Power, when Goku and Vegeta would power up, they would just kind of like flick and boom their Super Saiyan or flick boom their God form. We got the classic like him having to concentrate and scream, and you see like the air turning yellow and like his whole body just engulfs, and he goes Super Saiyan. I'm really glad they paid attention to that detail. I thought it looked really great. Um, so they're sparring in bases. Broly starts catching up a little bit. Vegeta makes the comments like, "Oh, is he learning as we're fighting, as we're sparring?" So he cranks it up to Super Saiyan, and he starts overwhelming Broly again. Broly can't keep up. He doesn't know what's going on. um, Vegeta's getting the best of him again, and all of a sudden Broly starts catching up again. He starts raging and raging because he keeps punching Broly in the face. pushing him in the ground, hitting him with all this stuff, and Broly's getting like pissed and pissed and pissed, just turning into this like bigger and bigger and bigger rage monster. Um, and now that we're on the topic of rage monster, I'm actually surprised that nobody said Broly's not resembling Kale here, or isn't this the same thing Kale and Kefla had when they were fused? Like, this is that same rage, uncontrollable form. She can't be calmed down. How do we deal with her? We've already dealt with this kind of like it was never their names were never brought up or compared, which is actually surprised to me. I thought we would have gotten a comparison like, oh, we fought this kind of rage before. It can be uncontrollable. It can be hard to deal with, but it was never um, brought up. Broly again starts keeping up with Super Saiyan. Then for the first time on screen, I thought it was the cleanest transformation of the entire movie. Um, Vegeta going base god form with the red hair. It was so flawlessly animated and smooth. It started at his feet. You saw this like red start glowing, and then it just engulfed his whole body. And they had him like spinning in the air as he was transforming, and he turned red. It was the cleanest transformation of the entire movie. And at this point, the art and animation had been 100. There was no drop off. There was no disformed faces. Everything looked clean. But I will say, as the movie kept going on from here, it looks like they put more attention onto like the hand-to-hand combat scenes, and then the kind of still shots of them talking. The faces got real wonky, and jaws weren't structured right. It kind of dipped as the movie went, um, but it was still good nonetheless. Um, so when Vegeta hits God form, Broly can't keep up. Like he's kind of reached his limit. There's nothing more he can do. He really can't keep up. He's just completely overwhelmed. And so Frieza makes the comment to Paragus like, is this it? Is this Broly's limit?" And Paragus is like, "Yeah, this is as far as he can go. He's never like this is his limit." And Frieza's like, "Oh man, that's unfortunate." And we see it happening. Like he cannot keep up with Vegeta in God form. And I really really like that they gave him like set boundaries. Like he didn't just come out all fresh off that ship, ultra instinct level, and we just couldn't do anything about it. He had to like adapt as he went. He would like hit a barrier and then couldn't do it, and then he'd crank it up. And he hit a barrier and couldn't do it, and then he'd crank it up and crank it up and crank it up. Um, and at this point, you're thinking of, and I thought this too. I was like, okay, Frieza's gonna escape with Broly. They're gonna regroup, come back. He's gonna have all that experience, and all of a sudden be God level the next time. I'll make this comment now. From the start of this fight, the rest of the movie is a complete fight. We have no breaks in time for about a good 50 minutes. It's straight fighting, which I don't mind. I thought it was good, but like we got no more story, no more build up, no more dialogue, no more talking. It's straight throwing hands the rest of the movie. I think there might have been a 5 minute dip max, 10, between Broly getting off that ship and fighting Vegeta till the end of the movie. Um, but it's just straight hands the entire rest of the movie, which I've seen some people are like, oh, they liked it. Some people are like, we needed a break, we needed a breather, we needed a refresher, like regroup, come back and fight. Because you see in the trailer, there's all these like different set pieces. Like they're not always fighting on that ice. They're fighting in some like underground lava tunnel and all this kind of stuff. So I was thinking to myself, okay, how do we get there if they're never going to stop fighting? And they actually never stopped fighting. I'm trying to think, when did we... Oh, okay, so that hadn't happened yet. That hasn't happened yet. um, Pregus makes the comment that Broly has the power of the Saiyan ape form, but he's able to have it in his body without going ape. That's why he removed the tail. He was afraid that if Broly turned into an ape form, he wouldn't be able to control him. So that's why he plucked off the tail, and Broly's able to take that power and put it in a human form. Um, at this point, you're thinking, okay, we're gonna regroup. They're gonna run away and come back. Broly's like floating at the bottom of the ocean. Um, and there's like a 2 minute reset. Broly comes out of the water, and he has clearly like gone to Super Saiyan form or something. Granted, this entire time Broly's been in base form. He's been fighting Vegeta at a Super Saiyan and a God level in base form the entire time. And Goku even makes the comment like, "Wow, I can't believe he's been doing this in base form, right, Vegeta?" Um, so at this point, you already know what's gonna happen. Broly's leveled up. Of course, Vegeta's fighting first, so you know Vegeta gets dusted a little bit. He doesn't get completely. He's not completely dead or like incapable of moving, but he's starting to get worked here. Broly has powered up. He's done something. Um, and Vegeta's getting overwhelmed. He's getting blitzed. Mind you, Vegeta never goes blue or his like limit breaker blue form. He only goes red. He only goes God. At this point, Vegeta's getting so overwhelmed, he gets like pushed to the other side of the continent. And before like Broly can really go like end that man, Goku steps in. He's like, "All right, I want my turn." And I wrote this down, and in my head, Goku versus Broly for that first 5 to 10 minutes was one of the cleanest exchanges slash best fights, I want to say, in Dragon Ball history. I don't know if that's a mouthful to say. I don't know if that's just the hype train coming off of the movie. Um, you start going back and thinking of like Goku fighting Master Roshi in the tournament for the first time, or Goku and Piccolo, Goku and Cell, Gohan and Cell, Boo, just hit Goku Jiren Ultra Instinct for the first time. I think that this first 5 to 10 minute exchange between Broly and Goku was the cleanest, most well choreographed, animated hand to hand fight we've ever had in Dragon Ball history. If you've seen the movie and you know what I'm talking about, let me know if you agree with that statement. Um, so they're fighting, they're sparring. Goku's like keeping, which is pretty crazy because Goku's in base slash Super Saiyan 1, and he's keeping up slash going blows with Broly, who was just dusting Vegeta in God form, which kind of blows my mind because I thought we established that Vegeta was just as strong, if not stronger, than Goku in any form Goku wanted to bust out, as long as it wasn't Ultra Instinct. Now, if you want to go back and say that Vegeta's limit breaking level is just as strong or stronger than Goku's um Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, then okay, I understand maybe Goku's lower levels are stronger than Vegeta's lower levels, but at their max levels that don't involve Ultra Instinct, Vegeta's stronger, than okay. But yeah, Goku's in Super Saiyan form this entire time, and he's basically dusting slash keeping up with Broly, who was just dusting Vegeta in God form. So I was like, we're getting wonky with these power levels here, but I'll let it slide because it was amazing. They break for like 30 seconds, and Goku's like, "Hey, oh, that's what happened." So Goku, I don't know what it was here. Um, what did I write it down here? Yeah, Goku puts this man in some kind of like Doctor Strange Genjutsu Itachi freeze frame, and he's holding Broly there with his hands and like this red aura, and he's just got this man stuck. He's like stuck in some time loop. He can't move. I'm like, what is this nonsense here? And Goku makes a comment. They're like this close to each other, face to face. He's holding him there still, mind you. Broly's raging at this point, trying to move. He's just got that man stuck with his hands, not even touching him. And Goku makes the comment that we're a peaceful planet here. He said we've been through a lot and we've made it. And like he's like, we want to remain a peaceful planet. We are peaceful people. And when he's making this talk, they hit this flashback on screen that Goku's like thinking about. Like we go in Goku's head and you see it, and you see everything on this t-shirt here. Like you see Cell and everything down there. They run through everything that's ever happened from the very beginning of Dragon Ball to the very end of the Dragon Ball Super Tournament in 10 seconds. They show Goku fighting Vegeta, like the very beginning when they both got tails. They show Goku and Gohan. I don't think they show Gohan, but they show Goku fighting Cell. They show Goku fighting Frieza, Goku fighting Beerus, Vegeta going against Jiren. They show the final fight of Goku and Jiren and Vegeta, all within like 10 seconds. And it's so fast and so clean that like you're so amazed that when they showed it, I remember when they showed it, I thought it was amazing. Um, Bringing that up, we don't get a single mention or image of Gohan in the entire movie, which I was upset about. I was hoping to see him train with them because he knows kind of like what's out there and everything. Maybe he wants to stay on it, but we thought that with the Goku Black arc too, and that didn't really happen. Um, of course, Broly breaks out of this mind spell contraption he has him in, punches this man Goku in the face. Goku's in red, he's in God form at this point, and he's pushing this man's fist back like this with his face. Um, and he's like, no, 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 and like keeps pushing it back with his hand. I'm like, what is actually happening? Um, and then so Goku's transformation from Super Saiyan to God to Red was clean. It was so flawless. Um, I don't know when Piccolo got this ability. Maybe I missed it. There's a lot of Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball, etc. episodes out there. Piccolo is somewhere on Earth, and he's talking in a kinetic link to Goku. He's like, "Hey, what's going on? I sense you, Vegeta. I sense Frieza." He's like, "I sense this power I've never sensed, and it feels even stronger than yours. What's going on?" They're talking on the like this kinetic link, and Goku's like, "I can't talk right now. This guy's strong. I can't keep up." Piccolo's like, "I feel like I want to come help, but I feel like I'll just be in the way." Goku's like, "Yeah, you're gonna be in the way." Um, and besides one more part, that's it we get from Piccolo. That's pretty much it. So that's all we get for him. And we see kind of Broly is tapped out again. It looks like Super Saiyan God level is about where he can compete, whether that's against Vegeta or whether that's against Goku. Red God form is about where he's going to tap out at. So Frieza's like, hey, is this it again? Pragus, is this Broly's limit? Like, are we getting any more out of him? And he's like, no, that's it. And you see Frieza think to himself back on Namek when he killed Krillin and Goku went Super Saiyan. And then we could look back at Frieza and he's like, I wonder if I can make that happen again. Death beams. Um, oh, before he does that, this is what I was talking about at the beginning. Paragus makes the comment. It looks like he's starting to regret what he's done with his life. He's like, man, maybe King Vegeta was right for trying to kill Broly or send him away because his power is too uncontrollable. Even if you want to try to use it for your own gain, like you can't control him. Like, and he's saying this in his head. He's like, he was right. It was right to like limit him or maybe send him away or maybe keep him from battling because he's too unpredictable. Even if you want to use him as a weapon of your own, it's just too much to do. Um, so right after he says that, Frieza's like, let me test something out. Kills Broly's dad, kills Paragus, and as he kills him, he turns around. He's like, Broly, look what happened. Somebody killed your dad. And my man loses it. So those shots you saw of Broly in the trailer, like that man right here, all greened out hair, pupils gone, he's in that state for the rest of the movie. Starts dotting this man Goku up. Um, and it's like that was the final like limit breaker. It was kind of like the only thing I can really compare it to is like Naruto when Lee or Guy Sensei are going like through the seven gates for the first time and there's like limiters on them and they're trying to keep the power under control because if it busts out, it'll just be too much. It's like all the floodgates on the chakra levels just opened, and this man he's unstoppable. What I will say though is I was hoping we were gonna see it or something. We never saw Broly like hit a stamina wall, or we never saw him like breathing hard, out of breath, tired. I kept thinking to myself, he's gotta like tip out at some point. This, mind you, um, we'll fast forward here real quickly in the chronological order. Goku and Vegeta instant transmission out of there. After Goku starts getting dusted up in Broly's new like borderline Ultra Instinct God level form, they instant transmission to Piccolo. They're like, we got to get out of here. They're gone for an hour or more trying to learn how to do the fusion dance and everything. So that's 1 hour right there, straight fighting. Granted, they were probably fighting for another solid hour before. So this man Broly has been going straight for like 2-3 hours, hasn't sweated or had a deep breath once. And I was hoping we would get some kind of like stamina wall or barrier or something. Um, but we didn't. At this point in the movie, I was thinking in my head, what does Whis and Beerus think about this? What do you think about this right here? Um, like, is somebody walking around with this kind of destructive power level okay? It never goes to Beerus. So all we're thinking is Beerus has to be asleep. This man has to be asleep this entire time. I know he senses this power, and even if he doesn't, Whis is there, and Whis never makes a comment. Whis is never like, "Oh my, this is crazy. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, he could be the new god of destruction, or he could threaten a god of destruction. Should I step in? Should I get Beerus to step in? Should we get Xenos? Like, we get no inner dialogue of Beerus and Whis, and I was really, really disappointed we didn't get any of that. I was hoping to see that, and we didn't. We didn't get any of that. So I'm thinking of like, how do we stop him? They're gonna have to fuse. And at this point, when they start going, they go to Piccolo. They instant transmission to him. They start doing the dance. They start figuring it out, and they get it wrong twice. So we get the kind of the same thing that Trunks and Goten went through. They do it the first time, their fingers aren't matching perfectly, they're like off like this, so they come out like fat and bloated, and Piccolo's like, you guys gotta wait 30 minutes. So as they're trying to get this dance down, they do it again, and the fingers are off by a little bit, or their feet weren't wide enough. They turn into like sunken old man that's just bones. They gotta wait another 30 minutes. As this is going on, Frieza and Broly are fighting, um, and that man Frieza is getting actually dusted this entire time. He can't keep up. And mind you, this is going on for an hour because Goku and Vegeta are trying to fuse and get it perfectly. And Frieza's just there in his gold form, getting absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. He can't keep up. So an hour has passed because they had to wait for the other two fusions to stop. They finally get the fusion right. And the instant transmission back over there again. Um, he just got straight dusted. Um, I kept writing like, wow, they have to really wait 30 minutes to try again. Um, and at this point, right when they come back, I guess Broly doesn't take Frieza as a threat anymore. He goes and attacks Whis. And I'm like, this is it. We're going to get Whis versus Broly. And Broly goes to throw a punch. Whis twirls. Broly goes to throw another punch. Whis is like giggling and shit. And that's it. Gogeta steps in. Um, and it's pretty much Gogeta versus Broly the entire time. We didn't get it. Whis didn't make a comment of like, wow, that's the strongest power level I've ever seen, or oh, he almost got me, or what a threat that could be. Whis giggled, and I feel like they cheated me. I feel like they cheated all of us right there. Um, as this was going on, as people were kind of getting the upper hand in the fights, when Vegeta was getting on Broly, when Goku was, they had songs going in the background that had the fighters' names echoing of like who was winning. So when Vegeta was starting out like really giving Broly those hands, the song in the background was echoing like Vegeta, Vegeta, and then when Goku came out, it was echoing like Goku, Goku, and then when Gogeta came out, it was echoing that in the back. I thought that was kind of clean. Um, we get this straight laser circus, um, like from Dowry and Naruto Shippuden. Gogeta. At this point, I'm just going to refer to them as one because they're fused from now on until the rest of the movie. They're not even in blue yet. They're just in base Gogeta. They start just throwing out all these cannons and lasers and just start going off and going off. And the art and animation looks great. Only on the fights though. Towards the end of the movie, the art and animation start slacking off again because like they put all their effort in the animation. They said, "Fluff it, we made it this far. We're not going to go any longer." Um, then we start going into this like crazy. I almost thought it was too much. If you've seen Doctor Strange before, and you know when he kind of is learning about the mystic arts for the first time, and he's pushed through that portal, and he goes zooming around the multiverse for like 2 minutes, and he sees like fingers sprouting on top of his fingers, and he's like engulfing himself on top of engulfing himself. They start throwing so much animation and colors, and I mean, if you have epilepsy, you're definitely going to catch a seizure during this part. There's so much colors and movement, you can't even you're losing your mind. Like there's so much going on that you couldn't really keep up. I didn't mind it, but man, it was kind of hard to keep up. Um, at this point, the girl and the old man that recruited Broly in the beginning, they feel bad, like it's their fault that Broly's in this situation right now. So they're collecting the Dragon Balls, they're summoning Shenron to make a wish, And I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, what is their wish going to be? Are they going to wish to make him weak? They're going to wish to put him asleep. They're going to wish him to be dead. I was trying to figure out like what their wish could possibly be. I honestly, because I thought the movie was going to be longer than it was. I'm like, oh, Frieza's going to step in and make his wish, and then we're going to have to deal with whatever his wish is. And he actually doesn't. They actually do summon him, and end up making their wish. Um, at this point, Broly starts getting the better of them, so they have to go Gogeta Blue. And from this point on, it wasn't a contest the rest of the movie. Gogeta Blue was, I'm not going to say toying with whatever. We never got a name for what Broly's level is. Legendary Super Saiyan God. I don't know. We don't have a name for it, but he's somewhere between like a Jiren and a fused Gogeta Blue. He's somewhere in a god of destruction, ascended god. He's up there. That man's up there. But Gogeta Blue just was too much for Broly to keep up with. He's dodging, he's moving, he's surfing on Broly's throwing out blast, and he's surfing on the side of it like he was hitting Kefla with that stuff. He's getting behind him, in front of him. Broly just can't keep up, and they make this like crystallized marble blast that's like the size of his hand, and Gogeta throws it, and Broly is just getting absolutely destroyed. Do we know if Broly was going to have another limiter that he could bust out of? Who knows? Because right when it was about to go down, um, they make the wish of sending Broly back to the planet they got him from. Right before this marble ball of destruction, I really think it would have killed him. Um, there's so much power condensed in that blast. Um, the old man and the woman make the wish to send the wish. They only get one wish. The wish was to send Broly back to the planet that they got him from, and that's it. That's how it ends. I mean, the screen doesn't cut to black, but as far as like movie and story goes, that's it. There's not a finish to the fight. There's no ending to it. That we don't see them defuse and talk about it. Um, that's just how it ends. It was actually crazy. I was actually skipped over it. Goku was like, "Hey, we're gonna defuse together to do this," and Vegeta was like, "I'm down." Like he's like, "Yeah, we got to do it." You know how Vegeta's like always, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it, but he was down until he found out he had to do a dance. Then he started like retracting. He thought they could do the earrings again or something. When Vegeta found out they had to dance, he didn't want to do it. But before he found out they had to do that funky dance, he was down. Like he didn't even question it, which is pretty great. Um, I'm actually, even though we kind of didn't get a resolution to the fight, I'm actually very, very glad they didn't make Broly stronger than Gogeta Blue. Now, could he have been? Who knows? Maybe he eats that blast, that final blast they were going to send, and gets the Zenkai boost and comes out pissed off, and he's like Ultra Instinct, Legendary Super Saiyan Rage, God of Destruction. Who knows? But we're never going to find out. Now, at this point in the movie, I was kind of pissed on how things ended. I was like, so does he just stay on that planet forever now? He has no spaceship. He can't get off. He doesn't instant transmission. So he just stuck there the rest of his life. Do we go? Does Whis go back and get him and maybe take him to the planet with Beerus? And do they try to like rehabilitate him? Because I feel like they could restrain him if needed and try to like harness his power to be used for not a destructive level. I'm like, do we never bring him up again? I'm like, kind of what happens here? Um, so and I think the power level is, I feel like basically if we had two Beeruses fused, that's what we had in Gogeta Blue. Again, another thing is like we've never gotten the definitive answer on Beerus's powers level, and I feel like we're never going to, just so there can always be a debate about it. Um, Goku goes and visits Broly on his planet. By this time, that younger woman and the old lady, they've gone to that planet. It looks like they're gonna try to like rehabilitate Broly and like give him some human interaction, try to give him a home. They're gonna keep him on that